you guys. So we're just going to take a look and see, ask the question, does this person have good intentions towards you? Okay, I see a lot of worry here pertaining to whether that's the case. On your end, it looks like maybe you're afraid that you've given a lot to this person and they have not given enough back to you. Yeah, like you... Okay, so like for some of you, that could be the understanding. It could be that you feel like you've given a lot to this person and maybe you've given too much and they aren't going to give enough back to you. For some of you, I get the understanding more strongly that maybe things are moving in a balanced state, and it could be that like you're afraid of it falling apart. It could be that maybe you have been somebody who's given so much in the past and you haven't gotten balance back, and now you're afraid this is going to be another understanding of that. But it does feel like it feels like maybe you're used to being the giver, the one that gives more. And you're just like, am I doing this in balance? Am I balanced enough? Is this going to be equal exchange? Is this going to fall apart? You know, maybe things are feeling too good to be true. There's a lot of worry about that. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, like I get a sense that you may feel like this person, they're giving something in the connection, but they're not necessarily revealing all the emotional understanding to you. You know, it's not that you can't say, let's say for instance, that they're not taking you out to dinner on a date or you're not doing activities with them, but you still feel like they are emotionally a mystery to you and you're worried about that. Are they hiding something? You know, what's going on in their head? What are they thinking? How are they feeling? And you're wondering, am I saying too much? Am I doing this wrong? You know, to some extent, you feel like you've done your best to grow out of the overgiving in a connection, and you're wondering if you're doing it again. You're asking yourself, you're re-looking over the dates that you've gone on or the experiences that you had with this person, and you're thinking about, was I giving too much? Did I take too much action? What's going on here? You know, and part of this is because they may not have necessarily opened up. Again, I don't get that they're not giving it a physical understanding. I just get some sense of like they are a mystery as far as the emotional aspect. How deeply do they feel this? You're really wanting to know. Yeah, it shows up as a sense of they may not be giving emotionally enough. And again, the physical understanding does not necessarily equate to emotional. So they may not be communicating enough verbally to you how you're desiring for them to do so, to let you know that, hey, they do want this, or this is something that they're wanting to really be committed to. And to some extent, it shows up as they may not be used to using their words in that way. They may be used to being more of a physical giver, or that action, the action that they're taking in that way being what is enough, or, you know, so like I don't really get a sense that they're used to communication. Maybe the past relationships that they've been in, they've never been asked, or the people that they've been with have never required that of them, and so it's new to them. They're not knowing how to necessarily communicate more emotionally openly, because again, in the past it may be that like equal exchange for their past relationships, for their past understanding was just giving physically, you know, dates, you know, a gift, whatever the case may be, and less about communication more so. So that could be what's going on here. And they could still be in some sense afraid. Yeah, like I get some sense that they may be afraid of the being vulnerable. Like what's going to happen if they do that. I do get some sense that they feel that you think, you may have said this to them, or even if you haven't, they feel that there's something missing as far as like they notice or they're aware that maybe you feel like they're not giving enough, but they're not sure exactly how to do it. Again, I get this physical understanding. They feel like, oh, you know, maybe I need to give more here. So you're thinking, am I overgiving possibly in your emotional communication and what you're saying? And they're feeling like maybe, do I need to give more on a physical? Do I need to, you know, do bigger dates? What do I need to do to show? And for you, it's that you need more communication. But they're tongue-tied, or they're stuck as far as the communication aspect because they've never been taught how to communicate emotionally. So I don't get that they're not wanting to, but they are just not sure how. It's a new understanding for them. And I'm getting, maybe this might be a discussion that needs to be had, like just really saying, hey, I need more emotional communication. I appreciate all the physical things that you've done, the gifts, the dates, and everything else, but I really, really am wanting to have emotional communication or emotional discussions with you, because I don't know everything that's going on with your head. Like, how are you viewing this? They're not used to having emotionally intelligent conversations. They really aren't. But it's not that they don't feel deeply for you. They just, how they've been taught is just like, hey, you give. You give in a physical sense. You do dates. You do activities together. Maybe you travel together. You go on vacations. You'll do all of that stuff together, and that's fun. And that is how you connect. And they haven't been taught about the emotional, mental aspect pertaining to building a connection. Yeah, that's been equal exchange in the past, and it hasn't worked out for them. But they're not seeing as that was the thing that didn't work out. It's just maybe the connection fell apart for whatever reasons. Possibly, it may have been, a lot of different things, but they're not realizing that the common denominator could have been that with these other connections, that emotional communication was missing. But again, I don't really get a sense of the past partners were asking for that, or needing it or desiring it the way you were. Both of those people may have not been taught to, in past relationships, most of the people that they've been with may not have been taught to deliver balanced emotional communication the same way they weren't. So it was just, in that sense, it was equal understanding. So both parties didn't know better in some sense. Your energy is possibly coming in and going to help them step into more of that. But I'm getting, it's just about communication, because they want to give more, but they're not understanding that maybe what they're trying to give is not the right way. That's not the right way to equal exchange with you. It's more that they need to give that communication, let you know what's going on in their head, open up and be vulnerable that way. Yeah, I really get a sense of that. It really is just about, they want to give you balance. They want to have justice with you. It's just that they need to really, really have you have a discussion with you, or if you're open to just having that discussion with them, let them know that you need more emotional communication. And again, in a sense of like, yes, I appreciate all the gift giving, or I appreciate the time we've spent together that's been just us doing things, but I really, really want to connect with you on a more emotional level. And for that, I need you to communicate with me. I need you to let me know what's going on in your head. Everything, not everything immediately, but just like, baby steps, even if it's not something that you're used to. How do you feel? What are you thinking? What do you want pertaining to this connection? Just so much. Whatever the case may be, it just shows up as it really would just require communicating that to them. And they're willing to try. They just don't know at this time that the way of giving that they're used to is not the way to have what they want, this connection. And they do want, because this is a card of long-term understanding, speaks about marriage, justice here. They do want this with you. They're just not used to communicating emotionally, but they're willing to. I don't get a sense of any unwillingness to do so. They want to, but you can't really step into a version of yourself that you haven't been taught to. And especially if you haven't had a relationship where you experience a partner needing this or desiring this or asking for this. And that's really what's here. So I really am getting that it's just about you just letting them know what you want. Letting them know that you need that more of that emotional communication. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy for them, because they've never done it. So it's going to be a baby step understanding. It might not be a complete easy way of expressing, but it shows up as they will try. They're wanting to give. They want to prove their worthiness to you in this connection, but they're just trying to prove it the wrong way at this time. So yeah, like it really just shows up as speak to them, communicate with them about what you need, and that will give you more of what you want. This connection does look like it's meant to be come together and be long term. But yeah, like it really just shows up as them needing to, it needing to be addressed, that what's going to make this equal exchange is about that communication aspect. But that's all I'm getting at this time. I hope this message resonates with you. And if it doesn't, I hope you find what does.